All right.
Now you're just live.
I'm live now? Okay. Hey guys, it's Jeff from Renovision here, and today's live show, we are going to be doing an actual demonstration. I'm going to tear apart my basement and take you step by step how to remediate your house after the flood. All right, so now the waters have pretty much gone down in most districts. If you have a basement, then this video really is for you. We're going to be covering all the details step by step so that you can peel this onion apart and get it dried out and make your house safe, but also in a manner that takes advantage of my years of experience doing flood restoration for a living. We had all kind of tips and tricks that make the rebuilding process so much easier. And I'm going to share all those in this video, okay? So we're going to get the tools, the products, the procedures, and it's going to be easy. And you can do this yourself. So if you don't have insurance coverage, trust me, I got you covered. We're going to do this together. All right. We're going to be filming step by step. We're going to be doing some TikTok videos today. Bottom line, we have removed the monetization of this video. We're not interested in profit here. We're just helping our neighbors out down south. Do yourself a favor. Help your friends and neighbors. Hit the like on the button on this video, okay? Make sure you're making comments in the comment section. But share this with everybody you know who's affected, or everybody you know, and because they'll know someone who's affected. We're going to try to get this message out to as many people as possible. We're doing live streams 3 weeks in a row here, okay? We got today, we're going to show you how to get your house dry. And then next week, we're going to show you once the framing is dry and it's safe to be working again, how to rebuild. And in our final series, we're going to show you how to finish the room. So if you have no paint and drywall experience, that's okay. All right, we're going to help you out so that this way, because you've been designated as a disaster region, your FEMA money can go to restoring your quality of life, and you can take advantage of your own sweat equity to rebuild your home. Sounds like a deal? Let's just jump right into this. So first thing you're going to need, a couple of hand tools. All right, I'm not pulling out big guns today. Day like today, an Olfa knife is your best friend. And just a reminder, if you like, you can go and check out in the video description link. We've got a link to our Amazon store. We've got an entire flood restoration package there to help you shop with the different products and the tools, okay? First thing I'm going to show you is a little demonstration. I threw this in the pail about 2 hours ago. Just a chunk of drywall. Show you what happens when it sits in water, okay? That was actually the line where the water was when it sat in the pail. Right now, can you see that, Matt? It's soaked up over an inch of that water in an hour and a half. And that's just sitting there, okay? I'm going to give you a little demonstration of how soft this drywall gets when it's soaking wet. Okay, now that's only after an hour. If you're like most people and your house is sitting in water for 2 days, 3 days, you're just going to be able to punch right through it like nothing, right? And that soaking wet drywall cannot be saved. Here's the deal. Whenever you're dealing with a basement flooding situation of a massive scale that's really quick, the city's water system mixes with the city's sewer system. And all the water that ends up in your basement usually is backflow from the sewer system overwhelmed by the rainwater. So now we're talking debris, right? We're talking on the poop scale. We're talking nasty. It's full of bacteria. It's not safe. Don't go down there on your bare feet. Okay, you got to really think through this thing. Most of you at this point, I'm sure you've already documented your contents. You've put them out on the curb. The waters are down. And now you're like left with, what am I going to do? Most people contact the insurance company. They're going to get approval. Yes, you're covered, or no, you're not. You're on your own. This video is for you. Okay, we're going to show you what to do. Now, we're going to assume that my basement was flooded. It wasn't, but I'm going to tear it apart anyway. First step when you're dealing with flood recovery is you got to get your baseboards out of the way. Okay?
Jeff, sorry. Before you start,
yes, sir.
The audio is slightly off.
Is it off?
It's there, but
yep.
It's not perfect. Is there any way we could get?
Is that better there?
Yes.
Because I was probably at the farthest way from the mic while I was doing that, eh? All right, guys. Sounds like Jeff is underwater. We'll see what we can do about this, guys. All right, here we go. First step, take your knife out. All right, we're going to get down here, and we're going to cut the caulking joint on our baseboard. Okay? And then we're going to peel it up. most cases, these baseboards are just attached with brad nails. Okay? And that's it. Now, if you're like me here, we've got medium density fiber baseboard. That means it's garbage. Okay? You throw it out. Nothing you can do to save it. Okay? It's already swollen and it's junk. All right? If it's solid wood, then you can set them aside and reinstall them later after they're dried out. And that is a really good tip. One of the reasons I love to work with solid wood baseboards. Next thing you got to do here, where's my screwdriver? Take off all your cover plates. Now, this might not sound like much, but this is cover plates. This is picture hooks time. This is thermostats. This is cold air return vents. This is anything that you got attached to your walls. Grab yourself a Ziploc baggie, all right? Put all the cover plates and screws in it, because this stuff can all just be washed in soapy water. You're good to go again, all right? And you can label it and store it. Usually what we do in our business, we just go up nice and high. All right, and now it's there later when you're ready to restore. Piece of cake, right? Keep organized. Next thing we want to do. Now, there's a lot of controversy here, because if you had a little bit of water, let's say you had 3 or 4 inches, you could just cut the drywall 2 feet high, all right? And you could cut it all out. But here's the thing. Drywall comes at 4-foot heights. Most people have got a joint in the middle of the wall, so you can work on that joint while you're standing up like a normal person. If you cut it at 2 feet, you're going to be rebuilding all of your basement on your hands and knees or hunched over, okay? My recommendation is always cut at 4 feet. Insulation is 4 feet, drywall comes 4 feet, and all of that has to get removed. So if you only cut it 2 feet and you're trying to save a little bit of money, what you're going to do is just add a lot of frustration and maybe even an injury. Nobody needs that, right? You don't need injury on top of it all. Usually, when you're drywalling, okay, you're going to drywall the ceiling and then the top section and then the bottom section. Let me just go over here. We'll get on the microphone better. So there should be a drywall joint at 4 feet. All right? That's all we need to know. So what I'm going to do now is show you my technique. You want to mark off the wall where you want to cut the drywall out. And what you do is you go about 8 inches below that, okay? And you simply stick your marker out and go for a walk. All right? Here we go. That's what we're going to cut out. And there's 2 reasons for that. Reason number 1, if I can find my knife. Here it is. Reason number 1 is that if you understand drywall, right here, there's a bunch of mud. Okay, there's a tape joint. And if you're cutting through all that mud with your knife, it's really, really difficult. So if you go below the tape joint, it's easy to cut. There also won't be any screws here, because there's going to be a screw here, and then a foot down, and then a foot down. All right? So you just set your knife in the drywall and pull. Roughly along that line. How perfect you are and staying on your line doesn't matter here. Set your knife about 3/4 of an inch and just pull and pull and pull until you're all the way through, like that. Okay? You also want to cut out your corners relatively deep. Cut through the paper tape there. All right? Now, if you find that too difficult, you can use a drywall saw. Okay? Remember, in basements, there really hardly is any plumbing or mechanical. Even the wiring, it goes through all the studs horizontally around the room. There's not a lot of risk if you're doing anything stupid. But you can just work with the first 1.5 inches of the blade. Then you know that everything that's in that wall is set back behind that due to code. Okay? And that's an option. I'm more of a knife pulling kind of guy. All right. Okay. Now we're kicking some butt here. This is good. Now, next. Electrical is always attached to a stud. Probably there. not there. So you know there's a stud here, right? What you want to do is you collapse the drywall. And of course, the wetter it is, the easier this is, right? Okay, now, we have drywall tools. All these things are available, but you know, the power tools and saws make a lot of dust. That's why we're not using that here. We've got this camera equipment. All right, jiggle, 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 jiggle. Okay. Get yourself a box of the 3mm plastic bags. The Husky bags are my favorite. They're linked in our store. All right. Once you've torn out your drywall, oh, look at that. This house doesn't even have insulation all the way to the floor. Get rid of all this crap, okay? We're going to see what we've exposed here. Okay, here we go. Now we're to the next step. This is where it gets real fun, guys. Because remember I told you about where I thought the joint was going to be? Check this out. This is what we do on the job site. Now, I'm just going to... There's my joint. Okay? You see it appearing? Now, does that show up on camera? How's that? Okay. Now you see that? Okay, so now I'm taking out the drywall at the joint. So let me just go into the reason why. I'll explain to you why this is such a valuable technique. You have a system here in your house. Here. There's your paper tape. Okay. Get rid of all of this as well. The home system is made up of drywall, and in the Northeast, vapor barrier, and then insulation, right? When you cut your drywall, you're cutting through your vapor barrier. Okay? By cutting below it and then peeling off the wall back to the joint, okay, you actually expose all that vapor barrier. So now you have a perfect cut where you have the ability to reinstate new vapor barrier and then tape the seam. If you only cut in one spot, all of these cuts are between the studs. You can never really tape that really good. You won't get a good vapor barrier. And that's why we want to do it that way, okay? This just means you can pull your plastic off now. And because we got the whole crew down here, we're going to try not to make too much of a mess, but your insulation, let's assume it's right to the bottom, okay? It's going to be soaking wet. Oh, nice. All right. So I'm going to show you how to remove your insulation so that you, A, don't get a whole face full of fiberglass, and B, don't have to use 400 bags. Okay, you take the insulation out and you just roll it up nice and tight. Okay? And if it's wet, it's garbage. And you get rid of it. Nice and simple. Piece of cake, right? Now here's the insulation joint. That's amazing. All right. When you're looking at your house now, you've got to deal with your wall. It's going to be soaking wet. So we have to assume there's sewage all the way up here. Whatever the height of your basement, that's how much you got exposed. Wherever that water line was. That bacteria has to be dealt with, all right? Now, everybody in the business. I grabbed this from the local store today. It's at the Home Depot. It's called mold control. It's a concrobium, and that's the chemical. You got to get concrobium. If you don't have access to it on Amazon or at your local store, you can Google for insurance restoration wholesale suppliers in your city, And there'll be a store, and they'll be able to sell this stuff directly to you. You don't need a license to own it. Basically, it's for mold and mildew and odor, and the only other thing you got to deal with is sewage. The bacteria that comes with it. I'm going to suggest you grab one of these little spray buckets. You know, the older folks would all know this is. We've used these when we were younger in the garden, right? You walk around all day long, lots together. You create pressure with the pump, and then you can spray all your wood. And you can use a bleach mixture and spray down all your boards, okay? I know that the goal here is to dry your basement out, but the first thing you got to do is you got to bleach all your wood. If you're planning on saving it, it's got to be disinfected from bacteria. Get everything opened up, bleach it all down, okay, and then give it another 24 hours. Then go back in, okay, and you can use the same pump action if you want, but you come back with your mold control, and then you spray down your wood with your mold control. And you can buy concrobium in concentrated, and you can dilute it yourself with the sprayer, and you can do your whole basement, okay? Once you get the mold control on here, and then you start a clock. My suggestion is once you've got it all opened up, as a homeowner, you might have a fan, maybe. Without insurance coverage, you're not going to get any heavy equipment in there. There won't be anything available on the market to rent because it's already all taken. Trust me, you're on your own. Open up all your windows in your house. Open up your basement window. Open up all the windows in the house. The only advantage we have right now is that this happens during a time of year where it's still warm and dry, and you can afford to leave all the windows open. It's going to take about a week for everything to dry up. If you have a small fan just to get air moving, point it at the ceiling so that the air is mixing from the top of the room to the bottom and can be, removed out of the house through the windows. Once your house is dry, then you're going to go on to phase 2, which is going to be next week's live show. But before we get there, let's talk about flooring. Everybody's got flooring. If you have pretty much any kind of flooring that was dealing with sewage, okay, it's garbage. All right? So if you have any question about where the water came from, it's sewage, it's garbage. You can't save it, okay? If it's only fresh water, and I'm going to say there'll be very few people who aren't affected with only the rainwater, but if it is only fresh water, laminated flooring, hardwoods, garbage, carpet, you can save and dry, but you might, if you don't have a carpet fan to dry it, you got to roll your carpet up, take it outside, set it on top of all your furniture so it can air dry without going moldy, and get rid of all your underbed, okay? Bottom line, anything in your basement that got wet, just assume it was sewage and start over. Don't try to save stuff. If you have furniture that was hardwood, you can treat it with the concrobium as well, but don't try to save anything with any fabrics, okay? You're going to be really disappointed. It's going to get really nasty, stinky. Even if it was just a little bit of sewage, you're dealing with bacteria levels that are so low, but they grow and they grow and they grow, okay? Because it's in warm and it's in moist. And give it another week from now, your house will smell unbelievably horrible if you don't deal with this, okay? So while you're waiting to find out from insurance companies, if you don't have an answer right away, it's usually not a good answer. Consider getting in there, opening things up, getting a few garbage bags, get rid of some drywall, and get your bleach on your walls, okay? And deal with that bacteria. Then at least that way your house is going to not be stinky and you can live there. And then if it takes a few days to get an answer from your insurance company, find out that you're on your own, then you can jump into the next video next week, okay? On Monday night, we're going to do another video about how do we close up? What do we do from here, right? We need to know what's the next step. Now, one other thing I want you to do before you go too far, and this will save you a lot of time and energy down the road. Take out your knife. Now that we know where the joint is, right? And I want you to cut a rectangle in your wall, about 2 inches by 3 inches. Okay, and peel off the bottom corner of that paper. There we go. All right, now what you have here is a perfect sample of the paint color in your room. Okay, so you write down whatever room it is. We're just going to call it office. All right, I'm going to put that in my Ziploc bag because I want to keep that. When it comes time to rebuild the house, in a lot of cases you don't know what color's on the wall. all of the top half of the wall, even if it was got some water in it and a little bit of high humidity, it'll dry out, okay? It can be saved. You don't have to paint the whole house again, just where you had water. So if you had a foot of water damage or 2 feet of water damage, you cut it halfway. Let's just recap, right? You remove everything that's affected. You bleach it, you let it sit overnight. The next day you come in and you deal with concrobium, you deal with all the mold growth and everything else because the mold is in the wood. That's the source of the mold. As long as it's drying out, that mold will grow. So you want to kill it. Get a patch, because when we rebuild this, we'll be able to get that paint match. And we're going to sand it, prime the bottom, first coat on the bottom only, and then cut and roll the whole room together. Okay, it'll save you a lot of time and energy and a lot of paint. All right. That's a basic understanding for today. Just going to jump into the comments real quick and see if anybody here has got some specific questions.
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions about tile.
Tile. Okay.
So,
Great question. My professional opinion is any flooring that got subjected to the bacteria needs to be removed. Even tile is installed with thinset, and thinset has rake lines. And most guys don't install tile and collapse the ridges. There's always airspace, and the water gets underneath there, and the bacteria is not trapped in there. And you don't have any way to get the solution to that bacterial infection underneath the tile unless you remove it. You got to get back to concrete. Now, yes, I've seen lots of people keep their tile in basements that have had floods, and they've bleached the living daylights out of their grout, okay? And maybe they got lucky and got away with it. I can't give advice to leave bacteria behind, obviously. But if you have porous grout and you use bleach, it will soak up the grout and keep traveling until it finds organics and it's destroyed. So, how long was it wet? How much sewage is in your house? How much of a gambler you are? How much tile you're trying to save? That's a personal choice. I'm just going to say that it's not as directly affected as bad as other kinds of flooring. All right, fair enough? That's kind of a really lousy answer, but oh yeah, I'll try to stand a little closer over here. Sorry guys, let's jump in for some questions. We're going to call that the end of the video portion of this. We're going to upload this tonight, and we're going to cut the time off right there. All right, once again, if you know people who are affected or you just want to help, okay, then jump in. We're also using a fundraiser here. I know people have been asking, hey, are you going to do a fundraiser, guys? And the answer is yes. We're doing American Red Cross, right? Okay, so you can check out the link there and feel free to jump in. But the best way that you can help is by hitting the share button and share it with everybody that you know. Okay, let's just go do that right now.
So somebody asked about roof leaks.
Roof leaks.
Which is...
Yeah, well, we got a lot of rain, right? So you're going to get roof damage as well. Makes sense. If you have water coming through your roof, then it was from rain. It's going to leak every time it rains, right? So I need to stand here and look there, right? I miss my table, guys. If you had a roof leak, that means you have a hole in your roof. It's not going to like seal itself up. Heavy rain, sometimes water will find new ways to get in the house and it won't traditionally. Okay. So if that's the case, if you had a leak, you really want to follow it up, find out where it came from, open up your wall, your ceiling, trace it back to the source. Okay. Because if it keeps on getting wet, even if it doesn't present itself in the room, your structure is constantly getting wet. It's going to develop lots of mold, and you don't want to have that. All right. Do we have any other really interesting questions here?
Can you confirm the name of that product,
Concrobium? Concrobium, yes, spelled right there. Existential Paint has it right. Concrobium. Concrobium. Yes, that is the stuff, and that's the money. Remember, bleach will also kill mold. Okay, but the nature of bleach is when it makes contact with a mold molecule, they both die. Okay, concrobium kills mold and kills mold and kills mold and kills mold. It keeps on killing. So that's why it's a better option. All right. So you use bleach for the bacteria right out of the gate, and you use concrobium after. All right, to deal with your mold and fungus issues. Okay, you've got to do 2 takes on this. Do you take out electrical sockets? Great question, Jason. Listen, if the water went above your electrical plugs, then yeah, you're going to want to replace them. Okay, without a doubt. So if your water level was below that, you might be fine. You might not be. How much humidity was in your room? How long was the water sitting there? How old is the plug? You know, all these kinds of things. These are really just cheap metal and some plastic parts. Okay, so if it was sitting in too much humidity for too long a period of time, or you got some water in it, then you're better to just get rid of it and start over. Okay, the wiring itself will still be good, but the plugs itself, I'd probably change them. All right.
Let me ask, can you use it on concrete as well? I think they're probably talking about the concrete.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, let's just keep in mind, if you're using a product that can kill bacteria and mold, okay, it's also not safe for you, so you're going to want to wear a mask, all right, because your GI tract is full of bacteria, which helps keep us alive, so separate you from that material. It will work on wood and concrete and furniture, if it's hardwood furniture, or plastic or metal surfaces as well, all right, but it won't work on fabrics. If you got fabrics, just throw them out. Put it on your list. FEMA will be happy to replace your couch.
Cody's asking, Cody Detmer, there's a hole in my roof. It's been leaking long before I moved in. What's the risk of mold when I open my 50-year-old house's walls?
Well, yeah, if there's a hole in your roof, you're probably going to have some mold, okay? Because like houses are made of wood and the mold comes from the wood. And if it stays wet, then the mold grows. Most small leaks though, Cody, the damage is really isolated. It's very specific. If you don't see it appearing through the drywall, then you are dealing with a very small area. And in those cases, you're generally allowed to take care of it yourself. You don't have to hire a professional for that. But you want to get a mask, right? And honestly, one of the toughest things right now is getting a mask to work with. You can't even get them at the hardware store. You can't get them online. I got a mask here shipped to me for just to try out and see if I liked it. And this is the Stealth company. This product is available, okay? I'm pretty sure it's a manufactured in China product, but they have inventory on Amazon if you need it. It's an N95. It has replaceable cartridges, all right? And so it's an option. If you're a grown man, get the medium large. It's the biggest one they get. That's what this is, okay? I mean, it works, right? You'll survive. What else we got going on here for questions?
From Philly suburbs, 10 inches of rain, 4.5 hours. Managed to escape minimal damage. Just never mind. That was a question. They're asking about kills now. I think you were planning on demonstrating that in the next video as well, right?
Yeah. So we don't use the kills until everything's dry. All right. So phase 2 of the restoration is going to be the next layer after everything is dried out. We'll get into that next Monday. Right now, guys, the first thing you got to worry about is getting it all treated, make it safe, and make it dry, right? And it's going to take a week because you're not getting equipment. I could have brought in fans and demonstrated how to set up blowers. If you've got the ability to get the air moving, it'll speed it up. But even if you don't, just open your windows and it'll all dry. A week from now, no matter how soaking wet your wood was, it should be back to normal. Okay, so you don't have to like go and buy testing equipment and everything else. It's not an issue. All right.
Someone a little late to the game here, I think. Is it safe to live in a home that has had severe flooding, or does everything that's wet need to come out? Of course, yes.
Yeah, if it's wet, get rid of it. Just call anything wet is basically the easiest way to figure this out. When you've got a storm that big, the sewage system is overrun. Okay, so everything that's wet in your basement, just consider it to be urine and feces, and then treat it accordingly. All right, and then you'll know how much to get rid of. All of it. Right? Okay. Darth Jeff. Yeah, cute.
Daryl's got a question.
He's got a question. He's got an above grade exterior wall, sheathed with beaver board, covered by wood plank, styrofoam, finished loom side. Should I open up the exterior? Yeah, I would say that's probably not necessary. I mean, I don't know where you live. Where were you that your 10 inches was in? 10 inches of rain doesn't generally affect exterior of homes in the Northeast because we all have like concrete foundations. But if you're a member, Daryl, you can always send us a picture in the forum, buddy, and I can take a look at that for you, okay? Go right ahead. All right. Yeah, the video is going to be released tonight, okay? So feel free if you're coming in late to the video and you want to see the demonstration, we're going to put it up probably in the next half an hour. I don't want to take too many questions today. It's difficult, like it's a hell of a time, but we wanted to get the information out there for everybody who needed it. Okay. That's really what the purpose of this video is for, because you don't want this information next week. It'll be too late. Your house will smell. You won't be able to live there. PVC moldings can be, treated and you could use them again. Okay. All right. Unless we have some more questions that, specific to the conversation today, we're just going to call it. It is a holiday. Don't forget, we're going to add this fundraising event to a bunch of our videos. So if you're watching content over the next little while, guys, and you've got opportunity to help out, we're just joining in to help out the American Red Cross. Seems to be the best way to help people at this point because they have the most capacity for disaster relief. Okay. Wow. Yeah. And for everybody watching who is literally in the poop right now, cheers. It gets better. Okay. You're going to be fine. Don't be overwhelmed with it. It's just one step at a time. It's just good heart, fashion, blood, sweat, and tears. And we'll get to the other side. All right. Someone get this guy a drink. Indeed. Okay. Listen, join us for next week. The live show on Monday night, 5:00. All right. We are going to have an amazing time then because we're going to show everybody how to rebuild your house. We're going to talk about the cost, how much square footage, what kind of investment you're looking at as well. It's not as much as you might think. The building materials you're going to use here are pretty cost effective. I would say most people can rebuild their basement in most situations for just a couple $1,000. Only other thing to consider is if you have door frames in your basement, the wooden door jambs in a lot of cases are MDF, or even if they're wood, they swell and the doors don't function the same afterwards. All right. So take all the drywall off. You might be able to remove some shims and reattach your doors. Treat the doors and jambs first. If you have wood doors, you can treat it with a concrobium and you'll be fine. If it's cardboard and fiberboard, you're going to have to throw it out. All right. I wouldn't save those doors. They're going to delaminate on you and they're going to just look like hell. Okay. All right. Yes.
You good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to say happy Labor Day. For everybody who had fled, welcome to the labor force. We're going to be all right. We'll see you again Monday at 5:00, and we will talk then. And hopefully there we'll have some more time that we can handle more questions. I'm sure by then you're all going to have lots of questions to ask, and that'll be cool. All right. So you all take care and watch out for your friends and neighbors. Make sure if you're getting back in your house for the first time that you are wearing insulated electrical rubber boots and you've got the power off. Okay. Not everybody is out of the woods. There's still some areas that are still in the water. And if you're not careful, that can be electrified. Okay. So be safe out there, guys. All right. Okay. Cheers.